Hello fashion lovers, today it is this off shoulder gown, alright, that will be drafting in this video. Now this off shoulder is one of the easiest off shoulder to make as a beginner. Okay, now the dart on it is just a normal waist dart. The gown is A-line and the sleeve is flare sleeve, flare sleeveless. All right, so these are the things we'll be drafting in this video. So if it is what you're interested in, please like the video, give this video a thumbs up, all right, and subscribe to the channels, guys. So for my drafting, this is the calculation I'll be working with. Shoulder 15 divided by 2, bust 36 divided by 4, waist 28 divided by 4, hip 38 divided by 4, half length 16, gown length 36 plus 1.5, bust point 10. Now watch my allowance I added. To my waist I went for 3 inches because of the darts. To my bust I went for 2 inches, and my hip I went for 2 inches. Why did I go for 2 inches on the bust and waist and the hip? This dress is not that difficult. The darts on it's easy, no much work to be done, no cutting and joining. It is just very easy. Okay, now for us to fold, what do we need? We need the hip measurement, which is what I just circled, which is 11.5. Okay, when you add it together gives us 11 and plus 4. It can be plus 4, it can be plus 5, it can be plus 6. The higher you add, the more wide it becomes. So for me, we are working with 15.5. Okay, I went for plus 4. You can do plus 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8, whatever is your choice. The more you add, the more wider it becomes. Okay, now I haven't folded my fabric to 15.5 or my pattern to 15.5. The first thing I'll mark is my armhole depth. This particular pattern, I am marking it in a way that a beginner, a novice will know what I did, and the way anybody can do it on its own. Okay, that is why I'm starting the way I'm starting it right now. All right, now I marked my armhole depth 8. Your armhole depth can be 7, it can be 7.5, it is your choice, but consider the fact that it is an off shoulder. Okay, that is why I went for 8. I can work with 7. So after that, I marked my armhole half length, which I went for 16. Okay, after that I marked my hip, which I went for 25. Okay, the next thing to mark is my total gown length, which is 37.5 inches. All right, okay, place your tape the way I just placed it and start marking all this out. You mark your armhole depth, which you use either 8 or 7.5 or 7 at most, at least. You mark your half length. Your half length is your 16 inches. That is the shoulder to your natural waist. You mark your hip, your shoulder to your hip. You mark your shoulder to your gown length. Okay, so these are the lines I marked. All right, this is half length, that is my waist, and this is my hip line, which is 25. I use 25 for my hip line. All right, then the next is my gown length. Okay, indicate all the parts. This pattern paper is folded into 2. Please have that in mind. After folding it into 2, next thing you do is you start marking your shoulder. From the unopened side, what I did now is 7 inches. That is what I marked. The shoulder is 15. When you divide it by 2, 7.5, sorry. Once you have done that, you start with your bust measurement. You add your sewing allowance to 2 inches. At the waist, you equally do the same. The waist is 7, 28, 7, plus 3 inches sewing allowance because of the darts. Okay, you mark. Now at the hip, you do not need to mark anything, but let's finish the upper part first. Okay, now let's use our rule to connect the B to the waist, the bust to the waist first. Curve our armhole before moving down to the down. Okay, now the 5 and the 4 I added to my total hip measurement is because it's an A line, a more like a 90-degree gown, but it is not 90. Okay, so the next is to curve your armhole. All right, once you have curved your armhole, you come down here from your waist, connect it down to the end of the fabric. Not the end of the fabric, to the end of the 15.5, because you can fold more than, all right, to the end of the 15.5. You slant it. Once you have slanted it, this down part, you come to the hip. Let's check our hip measurement. This is where our hip is. You can see we still have enough, up to 2.5 inches. So the more you add, that where I added 4, the more you add, the more wider it is. Remember, whenever you're dealing with a line and it is a gown, the down should be curved, just like I did. It should not be this sharp at the down. Now, having curved the down part, we are almost done. The next thing we need to do is mark our bust point. What is the bust point for? The bust point is for us to check the perfect place for our off shoulder to start, and again for our darts. That is the importance of this bust point I marked right now, just to check where our bust coverage will be from and our dart. Now, once you have marked it, from there, ask yourself how many inches above will be okay so that it will be properly covered. You are to choose it yourself. Okay. Now I went for 5 inches. From the bust point, 5 inches. And I equally checked what is left is 5 inches. Okay, so 5 inches is perfectly okay. All right, here to here is 5. So this 5, I will call it illusion or off shoulder illusion, off shoulder cutoff. It can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6. The more it is, the more exposing your dress will be. Okay. Now, once you have done that, you place your tape from this shoulder line. Take 1 inches in, curve it again. Why did I take 1 inches in? You can see the chest is smaller. When the shoulder is usually wider than the chest, you know that. And what we use is the shoulder. So you reduce it in so that it will fit right at the chest. Okay. It is because of the chest that we took out 1 inches. The dress is no longer on the shoulder, but on the chest downwards. So that is why I took 1 inches from the shoulder. You can take 1 inches. The maximum you should take is 1.5, depending on the person you're making it for, and again depending on your finishing. This particular one, on the neck part of it, on that off shoulder, they use the kind of elastic that stretches a little bit. Okay, that stretches a little bit. Right now that it stretches, right? You can see the tiny elastic on that they use for the finishing. All right, it's not that stretchy, but it gathered some of the excesses at the shoulder. Then the next is your dart. All right, if your dart nipple to nipple is 8, you mark divided by 2, you mark 4. the way we mark our natural waist dart. Now, our normal waist dart does not get to the hip. Few inches before the hip line, that is where it stops. So if you watch, I did not get to the hip. All right. And what I marked now is my nipple to nipple. Okay. If your nipple to nipple is 8, you divide it by 2, it gives you 4. So that is what I marked. It's just our normal waist dart that we, use for the gown. That is what I'm marking. Okay. Now, guys, if you have any question, please drop it on the comment section. Will. I look forward to your, questions. All right. So this is, the only dart needed in this dress. That is why I say this is the easiest, simplest off shoulder a beginner can grab immediately. Now for our back, I do not need anything. The back and front is the same. The difference is the zip allowance. So I just placed it. I use 1 inches for my zip allowance. All right, and I'm cutting. Every other thing on this dress is the same. The only difference is the zip allowance. And so what we need to do is just place it the way I did, mark out the 1 inches before placing. Then you cut every other thing, the length, everything. The back has that and zip. Okay. So the back and front is what I'm cutting right now. You can see it. So the back and front, the 4-piece is ready. What next for us to do is our sleeve. If you look at this sleeve, it's an off-shoulder sleeve, but it is flay. You know how we fold our flay? You fold your flay into 4. When you want to cut flay, flays are folded into 4. This is not a line. This is not 90-degree flay. You either cut it 180 or 360, whichever one is okay. So you can see I folded into 4. All right. You either fold into 2, cut 1, you fold another into 2 and cut again, or you fold into 4 to cut the whole 4 of them. Now, the first thing for you to do is to get your round sleeve. The round sleeve of this person, I'm using 8. I measured it. Now, 8. I will start from the center. I started with 4. Divide your measurement by 4. If you divide it by 4, go round as a beginner. Once you see how I went round, you measure it. Take your tape the way I'm measuring it. If it doesn't give you 8, you can see it did not give me 8. It gave me about 6.5. Start again. Now, this time around, I added 1 inches. Plus 1 inches to that my 4 that I marked earlier. I believe having gotten 4.5, 6.5, in this case, I will even get more than 8. Okay, so you connect it. You can see how I'm going. Now it gave me 9. This 9 it gave me, it is okay. I will work with it. All right. Now after I've gotten my width, my round sleeve, the next is the length. This sleeve you're seeing here, the maximum in length is 8. It's not up to 10. The maximum, if it's too big, is 8. But for me, I'm going for 6. Okay, it is 6 that I'm working with. So after getting my roundness of 9, all right, I measure it gave me 9. The next is to start measuring you can see how I'm placing it to measure 6. What is the 6? The 6 is my sleeve length, my off-shoulder sleeve length. It is 6. Yours can be 8. Yours can be 10. It's your choice. I went for 6. Okay. Now, having gotten this, I will cut. After cutting, once you're done cutting it, the next thing you need to do, get your pattern, the front pattern or the back pattern. But specifically, we need any pattern, any of them that have this curve. You see the armhole curve? That is what we need right now. Now, where do you place it? You don't put it where here there's no opening. Place it on the open side. The part that is not open. You see this side is open. Okay, see how I placed it. This is where we'll be attaching the sleeve. The sleeve will be attached here. Therefore, that is why we need to cut it. You can see it. Once you cut it, that is all. You see that? Now, what do you do? How do you attach it? For you to attach it, first you sew up your dart. You know how we sew up that? You sew up your dart. Alright, once you sew up your dart, you place it this way. You can see how I'm placing the sleeve. Let me get tape and hold it down. If after sewing it this way, the part where this hand will pass through is too wide, you can pleat it a little bit. All right, this is where I'm holding down, is where you sew the front part of it. You place it to the back too and sew. You can see it is giving us the flare already. I'm trying to fold it so it forms a kind of a flare properly. Alright, when attached to the back, it's giving more like the flare already. You can see that. Good. This is the stand or the rope or the strap that will be on the shoulder. What will be the length of our strap? The length of our strap will be that part we cut off. Remember, we cut off 5 inches. So when cutting your strap can, if the back is the same height, you can cut in total 12 or maybe 10. You cannot cut 10 because you need to attach it to the dress. So the minimum I think is 11. Okay, so it will not be too. So after sewing, it will not be too short. All right, now I have attached it. You can see how it is. So guys, if you have any question, please feel free and drop it on the comment section. Okay, thank you.